in the age of Looksmaxing and being a Chad or being mogged, sometimes the shaved head look is actually one of the more attractive looks. I'm not a big fan of tattooing that large area if you're not into tattoos, because there may be a risk of inflammation. It's unfortunate because many times when you do undergo those procedures, the doctors will tell you, oh, you should use Finasteride, you should use minoxidil, you should continue to use this. Some of the negative effects in mental health and in your libido and in your erectile quality. Johnny Sins proves one thing is accurate, that you don't need to have hair to be attractive. Many stars, whether it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or Vin Diesel, or even the captain of the Enterprise, Patrick Stewart, who plays Jean-Luc Picard, many of these actors or characters don't have a lot of hair up there, and unfortunately have suffered from male pattern baldness. But they turn it around. It's not the thing that's going to define them, or define them in a negative way, and it doesn't stop them from having a certain level of attractiveness. So in the age of Looksmaxing and being a Chad or being mogged, sometimes the shaved head look is actually one of the more attractive looks. And at the end of the day, having confidence within yourself makes all the difference. So we're going to get into why and how you should avoid killing your libido in the quest for more hair. Coming out in the near future, there are some promising studies around fixing hair loss. Some of those include anything from inhibiting the DHT receptor itself without affecting the DHT receptors throughout the body, but just affecting the scalp. Also, there are some potential treatments that may accelerate the hair to put it in the growth phase. But one area that you probably want to avoid is taking a medication that's going to inhibit the dihydrotestosterone from affecting the rest of your body, because you need that for mood, you need that for libido, you need that to be a man. So we're going to get into it after this. So for many men, Turkey seems to be the destination for hair transplants. So how do hair transplants work? Hair transplants work by using donor hair from the back of your scalp. For some reason, the scalp seems to be, or the back of the head and the sides seem to be less sensitive to hair loss and less sensitive to falling out in the presence of dihydrotestosterone. So these guys actually quite like when your DHT is elevated, but the ones at the top for most men, and when they call it male pattern baldness, it's the pattern that ends up getting thin. They say that it doesn't actually fall out, that the hairs just shrink and they miniaturize to a point where they no longer grow. So if you could move the hairs that will not care if you have DHT to the areas that don't like the DHT, those hairs will normally grow. The issue with many people who have hair transplants is you have to have enough of the donor area and you have to have enough transplanted so that you have the appearance of full coverage. And full coverage means you look through and you can't see some of the skin in those areas, which is why some men will also choose for the tattoos in the scalp. I'm not a big fan of tattooing that large area if you're not into tattoos, because there may be a risk of inflammation. So whilst you can make it look like you have hair, or at least a shaved look, or some follicles with a tattoo, it may, and I could be wrong, but some of the tattoo ink, we don't know 100% if it's going to cause further inflammation or issues down the road. But for those who do hair transplants, they're literally taking the hairs in the back of your head and putting in the areas in the scalp, in the crown, where it is thinning. But it can take many surgeries to get the kind of density that you would like. And sometimes some surgeons will take it from other areas besides the back and the sides. They may take it from arm hair or chest hair sometimes. But more commonly, I think in Turkey, it's from the back and the sides. So I never chose to have one of those procedures. I know other people who did. But it's unfortunate because many times when you do undergo those procedures, the doctors will tell you, oh, you should use Finasteride, you should use minoxidil, you should continue to use this, because their thought is you're going to hold on to the hair that you do have whilst they fill in the hair that you don't. But I would say that it's very invasive and very risky, in the sense that if you have to keep using these tonics or these tablets to block your DHT in the hopes that you're going to hold on to the hair, you still can risk some of the negative effects in mental health and in your libido and in your erectile quality. So this is something that I think is to be avoided. I know in the future there are some other treatments that they're working on. There's one treatment that claims to really accelerate hair growth and keep the hair growth strong within about 3 weeks, putting the hair into the anagen phase, a growth phase, because we think when the hairs do start falling out, it's actually shrinking, and maybe re-accelerating that process will help. I know there's, out of UCLA, a study showing that they found some molecule that improves this process. I think it has something to do with Pyruvate, and it improves this process of the growth phase. We'll have to see. I think they're in phase 2 trials, or maybe phase 1, phase 2 trials, to see if they can get it made available. They've been very quiet. No one knows the exact nature of the molecule. They haven't published on it. At some point they will, but we'll have to see, wait and see to what their data says. And if it is a real winner, it's most likely going to be a topical solution that you would apply all the time to keep the hair in the growth phase. So those are some of the things to look forward to, but anything that blocks that DHT directly in throughout your bloodstream, or basically systemically, it may not be the best for your erectile health, for your mental health, and for you as a whole. Let us know which hair loss solution that you may have found. Why don't you comment below? We'd love to hear what you have to think. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.